Joining me now is Congresswoman Grace Meng, Democrat of New York. She is the vice chair of the Asian Pacific American Caucus. And Andrew Yang, a Democrat and former presidential candidate. He is currently running for mayor here in New York City. Now, Mr. Yang, you're one of only a handful of Asian Americans ever to have run for president. And now you're running for New York City mayor. If you were to win, you'd be the first Asian American mayor of New York and only the second person of color to hold the office, Dave Dinkins being the first. Now, what have these campaigns taught you about the political voice of Asian Americans in this country? You joined me and other candidates for mayor of New York, Ray McGuire, Maya Wiley, Eric Adams, others at National Action Network, talking about unity. But what has this moment taught you in New York that has a large Asian American community?
Well, first, I want to congratulate and thank Grace for being such a powerful voice. The legislation she's co-sponsored to try to elevate the treatment of Asian hate crimes in the Department of Justice, it's phenomenal. And Reverend Al, I want to thank you for gathering the candidates together to express solidarity for the victims of the Atlanta shootings and the Asian American community. And as an Asian American, I am the first to say that it's incredibly welcome, in part because Asian Americans are not used to others coming together and sticking up for us. And that was in large part due to your leadership, Reverend. So thank you. Certainly, I was very aware that I was the first Asian American man to run for president as a Democrat. And there were many in our community that frankly told me that it would be impossible for an Asian American to run for president. And I'm so glad that as the campaign progressed, more people awakened to the fact that there really should not be some kind of limitation on anyone in this country in terms of the types of office they can seek or the levels that they think they can contribute. And again, Grace, you've been one of the leaders in showing people that Asian Americans can do much more in public life.
Congresswoman, the Anti-Defamation League this week issued a new report showing that white supremacist propaganda hit an all-time high in 2020 and nearly doubled from the prior year. It included racist, anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ propaganda, as well as anti-Asian. What is fueling this increase in hatred, in your opinion?
Well, first, I want to thank Andrew for his kind comments. And Andrew is one of the many people who understands what fueled and who fueled the sorts of increase in hate incidents against many communities, not just this past year, but across the country. You
know, along those lines, Andrew, last April, when the anti-Asian rhetoric surrounding the coronavirus was just getting started, you wrote an op-ed that sparked some controversy. You said, we Asian Americans need to embrace and show our Americanness in ways we never have before. We need to step up, help our neighbors, donate, give, vote, wear red, white, and blue, volunteer, fund AIDS organizations, and do everything in our power to accelerate the end of this crisis. Do you still believe embracing the American part of being Asian American is the solution? And how do you handle people who refuse to see you as anything other than being other? I know blacks, we could sleep with red, black, and green pajamas. It wouldn't stop racists. What do you, or red, white, and blue pajamas, and it wouldn't stop them. Do you still believe that that could help, or are you saying that we ought to respect them as Americans? Explain to me what you were driving at in this op-ed.
The fundamental message is that we have to do more. And there have been many Asian Americans who have stepped up in ways big and small throughout this past year, whether it is risking their lives as essential workers working in the healthcare context or others, or distributing PPE or giving out hot meals. Really, the message right now is you can either shrink and feel afraid for our place in American life, or you can assert ourselves, as Grace is suggesting, account for these problems where they exist, try and address them but also bring in people from other communities. And earlier today, I was at this incredibly heartwarming rally in New York City that brought Black and Asian community members and activists together, and it was wonderful. That's the kind of thing that I was driving at, Reverend, which is just that we all need to do more. And I am someone who says that Asian Americans are waking up politically. You saw it in Georgia, where Asian American voters may have been the difference in the victories of both Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff. And I hope that we see the same here in New York and around the country.
All right, Congresswoman Grace Meng and Andrew Yang, I thank you both.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.